The internet is and always has been a very interesting place to be active on. On the one hand, you can find some of the coolest shit that you'll ever see, such as beautifully detailed pieces of art, animations that have tons of work and effort put into them and are only like 5 minutes long.
Get out of my car now!
Why are you yelling at me?
What?
Come on now, get that pep off there.
Or maybe even some kind of online webcomic or series that you enjoy on a regular basis. But on the other hand, you've got things like people that will complain over anything and everything, people that mock or make fun of content creators that have passed away, or people that are just assholes in general. It's kind of like some yin-yang type shit, you know? Like, one cannot exist without the other. Some shit like that, I don't know. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is the internet has created a lot of cool stuff over the years. One of those cool things being the vast amount of online games that people can play for free. Whether you're playing Bloons TD, Super Mario Bros. Crossover, or some other random Flash game, these games are great starting points for anyone who's new to the internet at all. They don't cost you anything and they're just plain and simple fun. Which brings us to the topic of today's video. One of, if not the greatest online free game a kid could play. That game being Club Penguin. If you don't know what Club Penguin is, honestly I don't blame you. It's been almost 5 years since the game shut down and I doubt there are many new people who are getting into it. So if you don't really know anything about the game, strap yourself in bitch because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. So basically Club Penguin was an MMO where you could play as a penguin. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, you're wrong. It's not that simple, okay? So, fuck you. This wasn't just a game where you played as a penguin. This was an experience that was life-changing for many. Or at least just for me. There were a lot of things that you could do in Club Penguin, like playing the many games it had to offer, buying clothes and dressing up your penguin, or even adopting a pet puffle. Now, you might be asking yourself, what in the ever-loving hell is a puffle? A puffle was basically the pet that you take care of and raised in Club Penguin. It's hard to describe them with words, but I'd say they looked like small balls of fur that had eyes and a mouth. I'll put a picture on screen so you can see, obviously, but yeah, this is a puffle, I don't know. And let me just say, this is the peak of character design, if I have ever seen it. Like, this is what everyone should strive to create when they're trying to make their own characters, okay? So, take notes, everybody. Anyways, the puffles also came in a variety of different colors, with more colors and variations being added as the game went on. I'm not going to go over every single variation of the puffle in this video because honestly that sounds like it could be its own topic of its own for a video, but maybe I will another time, honestly. That does sound like a good idea. As I said before, I really love the design of the puffles. It's very simple yet charming, which just goes to show how effective a simple design can be. To me, the name is also pretty unique and probably can help someone who's played in the past remember what they were. I mean, how often does a person hear the word puffle? I feel like if someone were to hear the word puffle, they'd probably remember like, oh, the puffle from Club Penguin. Yeah, I remember that. Another big part of Club Penguin was the many games it had to offer. Some of them you could even play multiplayer with other people online. Some of my personal favorite games were Card Jitsu, Kart Surfer, and Catching Waves. They were all very fantastic games and were so much fun to play. Another cool little thing that I remember of the games was that certain color puffles could actually participate with you in certain games. Like, for example, the red puffle could surf with you in Catching Waves, the black puffle could ride with you in Kart Surfer, you know, stuff like that. Usually once you're done playing these games, you'll probably earn some coins that you could use for a variety of different things. You could buy clothes or items for your penguin to hold or display. You could use those coins to adopt a puffle, or you could use those coins to buy furniture for your house, or new houses in general. There was a lot of things you could do with money. It's all basic capitalism, baby. I mean, let's go, the free market, everybody. Yeah, hell yeah, the free market, alright. God, I love capitalism and making money. Anyways, dressing up and customizing your penguin was also another huge part of the game. I mean, when I was doing the research for this video, I found that there were about 5,282 pieces of clothing items in the game, which meant you have a lot of options to choose from. There's probably something you'll like, I guess. It probably also means there's a lot of shit, but hey, what? I don't know. Fuck you. Another cool thing about all the outfits and clothing is that usually if you wore a certain outfit or held a certain item, you could perform some kind of like special action. Because normally there's a dance button in Club Penguin. There's like a dedicated dance button or something, and if you're wearing like a pizza apron with a chef's hat, you'll instead start throwing pizza dough up in the air. Or if you're wearing like a miner's helmet, you'll instead start using a jackhammer. I don't know, that's just kind of cool, I guess, you know? It's pretty cool, I guess. You know, I do really like the jackhammer one. It's pretty iconic, but I gotta say, as a kid, I really did like the Shadow Guy costume with the special dance. Looking at it now really isn't all that special, but when I was a kid, I thought it was really cool, you know? I was dressed as a superhero, and I was, you know, holding up this little ball of energy. It also looked like a mini spirit bomb, and I was really into Dragon Ball Z Kai as a kid, since it always played on Nicktoons. So yeah, that was just another reason as to why I thought it was cool.
Idiots! Behind you! Okay, I'll pull.
God, does anybody even know who Shadow Guy and Gamma Girl are? I wouldn't really expect anyone to. I mean, just playing the main game on its own, you're probably not gonna interact with these characters at all in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the way I found out about them was through a comic book. I think the story was that I found this book at a school book fair. You know, those little scholastic book fairs that they have in your school. Everybody knows what those are at this point, you know? Like, if you don't, I don't know, you haven't lived at all. But yeah, I probably saw it at the book fair, and you know, your boy loved Club Penguin, so you know I had to cop it, so I did. And I don't know, I enjoyed it, you know? It was a very simple story, but I was a very simple kid, I guess. It's just an interesting piece of Club Penguin lore. Anyways, pretty much all of the original locations from Club Penguin are pretty iconic if you were to ask me. I'm not talking about, you know, all the new ones that were added like post-Disney buyout, because there was way too many to remember any of those, but the original locations from when the game was in its prime are super iconic and memorable, to me at least. You know, we staying posted up in Sensei's dojo. The art style definitely also played a big part in helping enhance the experience. I mean, to me it looks very distinct and recognizable, and also just, you know, enjoyable to look at in general. I mean, God, I mean, look at that. How do they fuck that up? And the music, oh God, the music is such a banger of a soundtrack. Like, literally Jesus came down and blessed us directly with his soundtrack. I mean, you've got such banger tunes such as and also and who could forget I mean, Jesus Christ, I love this fucking soundtrack. It's like one of the best video game soundtracks that I've ever heard in my life. When I die, somebody better play this shit at my funeral. Like, for real, though. Like, goddamn. For all the praise I've been giving Club Penguin, there's gotta be a reason as to why players like myself and others eventually, you know, gravitated away from it. And there's gotta be a reason for why the game, you know, shut down. So let's talk about it. So I started playing this game when I was pretty young. Probably a little bit before or during kindergarten, I guess. 2008 or 2009, sometime around there. Which means that by the time I began playing, Disney had already acquired Club Penguin like about a year or two ago. But in my opinion, I was still able to experience the golden age of Club Penguin because I was able to play it before they made any of the major changes, which I'm definitely very thankful for because it definitely was a better experience overall, I guess. In fact, the game's player count was actually the highest it had ever been at that point, with there being over 30 million users by late 2007, which if I had to guess was probably one of the reasons why Disney acquired Club Penguin. I mean, they could probably see the immense potential that Club Penguin had in the rapidly increasing player base. It makes sense why a company like Disney would want a game like Club Penguin under their belt. If Disney is about anything, we all know it's about making money. I mean, think of how many franchises they own by now. Star Wars, Marvel Studios. The idea that 30 million people paying however much for a membership each month or year or however long it lasts, you could see why they would want it. As time went on though, Disney, as they always do, they made a bunch of undesirable changes to an already existing franchise. Man, they've done that a lot, haven't they? I mean, look at Star Wars. I mean, Marvel's kind of fine, you know, they're doing pretty well with that, I guess. But look at Star Wars, that shit that sucks now. The first notable change was in 2008, where they changed the general design of the penguins. Before, the penguins were more triangular, and after the redesign, they became, I guess, more pear-shaped and a little more detailed, I guess. The change itself wasn't actually that bad. In some ways, it actually looked a little better than the original art style, but it wasn't this change I disliked the most, it was the ones that followed. I think starting in 2010, from what I can tell, Disney started, you know, updating some of the locations in the game, you know, adding new things, removing some old things, you know, changing things up, I guess, with a new art style. Personally, even though I was a fucking stupid little kid who fucking didn't really care at the time, looking back, I'm really not a fan of those changes, you know? I really feel like the original style and locations and how they looked were perfect, honestly. Like, they didn't really need it to be changed. But I get it that, you know, change is inevitable, especially when a big company like Disney acquires a little game like Club Penguin. I mean, it's not little, but still, you get what I'm saying. Another thing they decided to change was the design of the puffles. This was another thing where I like the original design a lot better than the newer one. Even though it wasn't that big of a change, it still looks mostly the same. It's just the small details, you know? I think all they really did was make the eyes larger, the mouth smaller, and the little pieces of hair on top of their heads like a little more circular as opposed to pointy. This design really comes off as like generic and superficial. Like, you could really tell that a CEO of a big company made this from their fucking boardroom at the top of the fucking tower, top of the fucking gigantic fucking fortress tower. Yeah, this is a horrible design. Drop it. The new design really lost a lot of the personality that the original design had, and those eyes just look so fucking soulless. Like, what the hell am I looking at? This is not an animal, bro. What is this thing? Like, look at these two pictures. Which one would you trust more? On the one hand, you got one that looks like your best fucking friend who will be loyal to you to the end. But on the other hand, you've got one that looks like a fucking sociopath that's ready to fucking kill you at a moment's notice. I'm pretty sure that the only way you were able to see the original designs of the Puffles was by playing the game Puffle Roundup. Because for some unknown reason, they just didn't change the sprites in that one game, and so it really feels out of place. I don't know why. And what's even weirder is that the brown Puffle, who was added into the Puffle Roundup game, they gave that Puffle the old design for Puffle Roundup, even though it never really used the old design. Like, the brown Puffle was introduced in 2011 after the Puffle redesign, so it's kind of weird. I don't know, it's just weird to me that they did that. Hey, this is a quick editor's note. I was actually wrong on this point. The brown Puffle did come out before the Puffle redesign, but only 2 months prior, so they did use the old design just for 2 months. So technically I was wrong, but they barely used the old design, so was I really wrong? Anyway, that's pretty much it. It's just weird that that was the one thing that they didn't change. And everything else they did. No reason was ever really given, so whatever. And then they just went apeshit and were like, fuck it, let's just make all these fucking variations of Puffles for no particular reason at all. I mean, some of these designs actually sounded kind of interesting on paper, but in practice, they look fucking shitty, I'll be honest. Like, the dinosaur Puffle, the dog Puffle, the cat Puffle, there was even a goddamn Olaf Puffle. I honestly have no idea what they were thinking when they were making these. Maybe they thought it was cool to make Puffles like different animals or something, but it just looks wrong if you ask me. Now, I don't hate like every single new Puffle they added. Some of them were actually pretty cool. They made like a rainbow Puffle, they made like a gold Puffle, and my personal favorite that they added was the ghost Puffle. Like, that Puffle looks sick as hell, honestly. The only thing that really sucked about it was that it was a Halloween exclusive, but otherwise it's like the coolest new Puffle that they added, if you ask me. You see, what I think went wrong is that they kind of oversaturated the game with so many different Puffles that it just wasn't interesting when there was a new one, you know? Especially if it like had a shit design. Oh, look, a fucking rabbit Puffle. Oh, look, a fucking deer Puffle. Like, what the hell am I looking at? Like, who the hell asked for this? Who wanted this? Now, the last big change that I could find when I was researching for this video was when they redesigned the penguins once again in 2013. They were drawn taller, thinner, and more human-like, and the beaks were longer and less circular. You see, I really don't like this design. I don't like the trend of these penguins becoming more and more human-like. Like, they're supposed to be penguins. I don't think they need to look similar to humans. I get people are playing the game and they want to, maybe they might want to make themselves in the game. I don't fucking know. I don't really care. But I don't like how they were like marketed like so human-like. Like, in all the official artwork, they're given hair, clothes, and, you know, shoes. I don't fucking know. I just don't, I don't really like the idea of them becoming more and more human. It's like they're evolving slowly into humans, and I don't like that. Another big part of Club Penguin that I haven't mentioned yet are the events. Yes, events that came and go occasionally. Usually monthly, I think, or every other month. I really don't remember how often these events came, but, you know, they were a thing. They were there. You either cared about them or you didn't, so I don't know. The event that was the coolest, in my opinion, was definitely Operation Blackout. From what I remember, it was like a lore-based event that focused on the EPF, which was basically like the CIA or Black Ops of Club Penguin. I don't know. The agency that watches everybody, basically. I don't fucking know. I'm not really gonna go into Operation Blackout at all, because that could be its own video topic, and also because it's been years since I fucking played it. So if you really want to know more about Operation Blackout, there's a great video on YouTube by the YouTuber named Kian Carlili, I think that's how you pronounce his name, that does a great job of covering the topic in its entirety. It's like the first thing that's going to pop up when you search Operation Blackout. It's not that hard to find. So if you really want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. I'm not going to talk about it, so let's move on. So the reason I brought up events in the first place is because they went from being, you know, fun little parties to basically becoming advertisements for whatever new Disney movie was new at the time, like Frozen, Monsters University. I'm pretty sure they did one for The Force Awakens. I vaguely remember that, and if I were to search it up right now, I probably could find it. Let me do that right now, actually. Let me see that. Okay, so I was wrong. It wasn't for The Force Awakens, it was just a regular Star Wars event, but still, my point still stands. There were a lot of, like, advertisement-based events. They even did one for Teen Beach Movie. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie. It's a Disney Channel original, which is already a red flag, but yeah, it's a movie that exists. I've seen it, unfortunately. God, I hate that I know all this information about Teen Beach Movie. What the fuck is wrong with me? The last thing that kind of sucked about Club Penguin, but was there from the beginning and wasn't added by Disney, was the paid membership that you had to have to do a lot of the things that I've talked about today. Now, I don't remember what the exact prices for a membership were, but I do know that you could buy different durations, like a 1 month, a 6 month, or a 12 month, similar to other subscriptions like Xbox Live or PSN. Here's another piece of trivia for memberships in Club Penguin. Apparently there were like levels on your membership badge you could have, with there being 5 levels total. I never really knew anything about this before, but I stumbled across this when I was researching for the video, and now I'm just going to share this information, this useless information that will help nobody, but it's kind of interesting, I guess. Anyways, there were 5 levels, as I just said, and they're really all the same. They don't do anything besides give your badge a different design depending on which level you have. The way you get these badges is basically for having a membership for a certain amount of time, and if I had to guess, I'd probably have the level 4 or 5 badge, because pretty much for the entirety of my time on Club Penguin, I had a membership. I mean, I was really into the game, what can I say? And that time was about from 2008 or 9 to 2015, I think. Which, honestly, I shouldn't have been playing the game for that long, but whatever, I enjoyed it, so. Are you really wasting time if you enjoy wasting time, huh? Yeah, I hate myself too. Ironically enough, the whole membership thing was what kind of made me stop playing the game, because I remember the last time I logged in, I didn't have a membership anymore, and my first thought really wasn't to renew the membership. It was kind of just to stop playing the game, honestly. Because for one, I was getting older, and I could kind of tell that I was getting a little too old for Club Penguin. Even if I didn't want to believe it at the time, I could kind of feel it, you know? And two, I was kind of the age where it was kind of weird asking for money from my parents for stupid shit like Club Penguin, you know? So yeah, I just decided to quit. I was like, fuck this game. You know, I had my fun with it, you know, I've had a lot of great time. I enjoyed all the time I spent playing, but I think I'm gonna move on now. And then I just carried on with my life and played actually good games. No, I'm just playing. Club Penguin was a great game, even at its worst. For me, at least. And I had a lot of fun with it, as I've said multiple times, so that was the end of my time, at least. And of course, no good thing can last forever. And on January 30th, 2017, it was announced that Club Penguin was going to be shutting down for good. The shutdown was said to be happening on March 29th of the same year, so Disney at least gave people a warning in advance instead of just randomly deleting the game, which was kind of them at least, you know? The least they could do, since they were just gonna delete, you know, everyone's childhood. When I heard the news, I was sad, of course. I mean, it felt like a part of my childhood was being thrown away, and I couldn't really do anything about it. What really threw salt in the wounds, though, was the announcement of Club Penguin Island, which was the unsuccessful successor to Club Penguin, quote-unquote successor, and one of the reasons why Club Penguin was shut down. Of course, when I found this out, I immediately had a hatred for this game. I mean, compared to the original, this one didn't even hold a candle to it. Even at its worst, Club Penguin was still better. There were many reasons why Club Penguin Island was terrible, but honestly, that's another topic. That is like another topic that's worthy of its own video. But to summarize why I think it's bad, well, it was mobile only for the first 8 months of its launch, so you couldn't even play it on your computer anymore. Its art style was like very generic. Even compared to like Club Penguin's third redesign. It was like really generic. I don't know. It was just terrible. And if I remember correctly, you had to have a membership to access like literally anything. More so than the original game. When I was doing research for this video, I actually did find another reason as to why Club Penguin was going to shut down, that being the game was declining in popularity. And you know, looking back, I guess it kind of does make sense as to why they would make Club Penguin Island. You know, maybe they had the mindset that if they were to make a new game, maybe they'd gain a new player base and get more increasing players or something. You know, maybe this was their last-ditch attempt to revive the Club Penguin brand, and it kind of blew up in their face, so good job, Disney. Another fun and cool fact is that during the last 2 years of the game's lifespan, a lot of the people who worked on the game were laid off. Some of their different locations also closed down, and pretty much all the Club Penguin related apps on the app stores were removed. Now, if it were up to me, I would have rather they pulled the plug on Club Penguin immediately and, you know, not give it a slow and painful death with Club Penguin Island, because that shit only lasted about a year and 8 months. Club Penguin didn't exactly go out with a bang. It kind of went out with like a pathetic whimper, and that kind of sucks, honestly, but it is what it is. But hey, if you really do want to play Club Penguin in the year 2022 and beyond or whatever, there is a fan-made recreation of the game from when it was in its prime. That being Club Penguin Rewritten, of course. A fair warning, though, there is a lot of controversy surrounding the people behind Club Penguin Rewritten. I'm not going to go into detail as to the things that have happened. If you want to find more of that out, I suggest you to research that topic on your own. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of controversy with several different people behind the game. But the game itself is good, if you ask me. So What's up, guys? This is another editor's note. It's currently 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just really wanted to finish editing this video, but I had to make it an editor's note because I just found out that Club Penguin Rewritten apparently has been shut down recently. And it doesn't look like they're coming back, because apparently the website's being investigated by the United Kingdom Police for copyright infringement or something, which is pretty interesting, but yeah, I guess you can't play it anymore. So yeah, I mean, there's probably some other alternative you could find, some like off-brand alternative you can play still probably. Though I wouldn't recommend doing so, because when you play the game you have to make an account, and make an account you gotta use your credentials to make an account, and you don't really know who's gonna have access to that information. So in my opinion, it probably would be not a good idea to use these alternative websites. I don't know what you would want to do if you want to play Club Penguin in 2022 at this point, but from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like the game is coming back anytime soon, and honestly, it's probably for the best. You never know who's really behind. You never know who's behind these fan-made recreations, so I can see why Disney wouldn't want some random people doing whatever with their intellectual property. It does have the potential to affect young children, I guess, and we don't want that to happen, right? So it's probably for the best, with all the controversies and all. But back to your regular scheduled video. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. This has got to be like my first actual like real video that I'm making. Not my first video in general, but I don't know, I wanted to actually start making things that I think people might be interested in watching, you know? Like before, I made things that I just wanted to make, you know? I didn't really care if anybody watched them or not. I just wanted to put them on the internet because, hey, it was a fun little thing to do. I don't know. But now I actually want to start talking about things that I'm actually interested in, and topics that I think people might actually be interested in. And maybe I'll make a few like funny shit posts every now and then. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I'm excited for the future of this channel. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully I won't get lazy and just abandon it, because that's kind of what I did for the past 2 years. Man, I wanted to put out this video like at the beginning of 2021, and here I am like a year later. Hopefully I actually release it, so we'll find out. If you've watched all the way this far, thank you for watching, taking the time to watch my video. I know I just tend to ramble a lot about things nobody really cares about. Even right now I'm rambling, but hey, it's my channel, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. But yeah, like the video, subscribe, I don't fucking care. But I hope you learned something about internet culture today. Thanks for watching again. Bye.